accused most of the past governors of plundering their states into huge domestic and foreign debts. He urged the president to appoint better hands, technocrats, and individuals willing to transform the country. Let me start with you.
Well, interestingly, I know Funsho Ajimuda very well. I think, theoretically, I think he means well. You know, he raised the argument of some of the governors associated with corruption, some mismanaged their states, some left their days in debt. But then, as journalists, we are concerned with facts. It is the responsibility of the court to determine which one is the truth. I can accuse any governor or minister of works and say, Lagos Ibadan Expressway, 2 billion, you should account for it. Well, yeah, the 2 billion was, people will say, oh, it's a whole lot of money. But when you now begin to investigate the matter, you might discover that this minister has not taken a dime out of this fund. So I don't want us to draw our conclusion based on speculations. It is true that we should not get people that are corrupt, and some governors have left their states in debt. But the fact of the matter is that not all of them. And even when you are talking about the government should pick technocrats, it's also not all technocrats that are automatically honest people. We pick some people to come and manage the CBN. We saw what happened. These are so-called Harvard University, this, that, and that. Give them an assignment. They mess up the whole thing. We have seen governors that have performed. And even when you pick technocrats, there is no indication, because the issue is political ambition, that they will not seek to be governor.
We saw that.
Yes, if you made a technocrat, they may now be working to be the governor of their state. So I think our focus should be on people that are credible, people that are honest, people that will add value to the government, people that also have experience. So if they will have governors that are clean, that are honest, that are credible, that will add value to the country, I don't see any reason why they should not be picked. It does not mean that when you pick a former governor, then automatically you will not perform well. That is not right. So I think emphasis should be on merit. And you can have technocrats who are not good. You can also have state governors that are not good. You can also have former governors that are good. And don't forget, out of the president we have been having since 1999, I think it's only Obasanjo that was not a former governor. Even Buhari was a former governor of Northeastern State. Jonathan, Yaradua, you understand the point. And even the current president of this country, the former governor. So on that basis, you cannot say, former governors should not be given appointment. There is scramble for positions, and there are so many interests contending. I know some people don't want the former governors to contest, not because, I'm not talking of Funsho Ajimuda now, but some people that, in my state, if this man is the most powerful person, they will pick him. So I have to rubbish any former governor from my state. So there is interests are coming up to contest. To contend for the positions available. My advice is that the president should pick people that are credible, people that are honest, and people that will add value to his own, government, and be able to ensure that the government performs very well.
All right, so it means we shouldn't generalize that some of these past governors have nothing to offer.
It's just like saying all journalists are corrupt. All journalistic bribe. All journalistic brown envelope. You can't generalize. But I go with what Mr. Adeoye has said. And then these people should also not forget that there's a constitution with which we work. That constitution says people must be picked as ministers from all states of the federation. So, if the man who is going to pick them will need either recommendation or knowing those people himself, because you just can't pick strangers to come and work with you. You need somebody you trust to be able to tell you, this man, as they have said he is, so he is. There's a difference between what they tell you somebody is and what the person actually is. A huge world of difference. That for me is number one. Number two, like we have seen in the administrations that we've had since we returned to democracy, the body language of the man who is at the helm of affairs also says a lot to his lieutenants. Mm. So they are likely to fall in line, knowing that the CNC is watching over them. And we have a few examples. Though there are people who on their own, they are quite good with whatever they are doing, wherever they find themselves, not even waiting for the head of department or the head of. We've had ministers like that in the past. We've had Babatunde Raji Fashola. We've had Rotimi Amici. A couple of them we can mention who have done well, despite the fact that a lot of things were wrong. And the body language of the CNC also did not give that confidence for them to go ahead in some instances. And what do I mean by that? There are certain elements that are close to the president, who are closer to him than those ministers, who can determine the way things will run. Mm. We've had that in the case of NNPC. We've had it in the case of CBN. Even before any matter will get to the CNC, they're already there. And the CNC so much believes in them that if those who are coming with the reports don't behave themselves, they're going to be shown the way out of office. We've had ministers who have had to live in such a inglorious manner because they did not pander to what those who have more of the ears of the president were saying than, look at the case of Kemi Adeosun. Look at the way she left. By the time the real facts came out and people saw it, it was like, why did we miss such an opportunity? So the body language of the man who is at the top will eventually put people in their place. And if they are not going to fall in place, it shows them out. Because that is where we are now. Nigeria cannot afford to have people whose only mentality is to borrow.
All right, Mr. Dotun, okay, let me allow you.
No, go ahead.
I agree with you, but I mean, looking at where the country is today and the enormous challenges ahead of this administration, would it be fair to at least agree with those who are saying maybe we need fresh faces this time around? And if Senator Adeche Ogunlewe could say that President Buhari's appointment of former governors into his cabinet as ministers is partly responsible for the non-performance witnessed in some critical sectors.
How many governors were in that cabinet? That's one. Number two, I just mentioned 2 ex-governors who people credit till today for doing well. I mentioned Babatunde Raji Fashola, who was part of that government.
That's 1 out of many.
I mentioned, that's why I said it depends on the man who is doing the appointment. Let's give an open mind. Let's look at those who can deliver on their mandates. They may be former governors, but they've done well. It's not all of them who did not do well. It's not all of them. All right. And a lot of these appointments, don't forget, that's why we've missed it in this country. We make them politically based because APC is in power. The man who must come from that state must have.
So that brings me to my next question as we wrap up. I mean, there are reports that the president will come up with some names this week. However, they say the president is torn between appointing party men and technocrats. How will you advise the president to go about that?
Well, the logical question we should ask ourselves is this. Do we have technocrats among the party men? The answer is yes.
Yeah, a lot of them.
The answer is yes. So it means that it's a dilemma for the president, but the simple solution is that he has to pick good people. There are technocrats who are party men. So you cannot say because we want to pick from party men alone, then, what we should advise the president, I think the argument that we don't want to be seeing the same old faces in 1999 is valid.
Very valid.
At the same time, we must also be conscious of the fact that we cannot do with people. Right. Look at, you mentioned Fashola. I mean, if you are talking about achievement of Buhari, you mention Fashola now. The roads, you know, you mention Fashola. Even Amechi too, you talk about railways. So some past, the former governors, you know, that we have seen, they performed very well. Even Fahimi when he was in solid mineral. Yeah. So we cannot say he did well. So we can't say that we should not pick, you know. So he has to balance, you know, the two interests, you know.
All right then. President